Welcome everybody to an early late edition of Mudflood was Armageddon. Mudflood was Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else unless they're willing to debate you, which they won't, in a fair and honest way, which they can't even imagine. RJ, what's going on, man? We got a lot
Morning,
to
brother.
talk about and not much time.
Yeah, yeah. There's still busy times here, but yeah, we'll see how things shake apart. Or yeah, it,
Last night
life
we
is good.
had
Life is good.
who's the new president of Iran? They sure ran that one like a pro yesterday, didn't they? They had the chance to
Oh yeah, ride the brakes for a while in order to figure.
take the president of Iran out. Yeah, tap the brakes, release a phone call. He might be alive as you choose a successor. Or is this guy acceptable? How about this guy? A lot was going on yesterday. The storms, oh my goodness, they are relentless. The Heavenly Father has judged the United States and found them guilty. And we're being judged. And yet I woke up with tobacco on my mind. The Lord has said, we've got to go over the history of tobacco and that it was the first currency of the colonies. And it has supported to the tune of $200 billion just in taxes. The country wouldn't exist as the United States without tobacco. It wouldn't be maintained to this day without the hidden tax of, I'm saying, gasoline and cigarettes. Welcome,
No
must be
firearm.
tobacco was used like gold and silver. It's how
Yeah.
we financed the loans from France to fight the revolution in their rewrite of history. So, and then you sent me, a girl claiming I don't need a breatharian. She doesn't eat, she doesn't drink, she's famous. And there's 3 guys in Japan that did the same thing. Wow, I've got to quit yapping and just go through some of these tabs. And so we only have a limited amount of time. I'm going to save this, talk about it all day. Oh, doggone, I've got to share. I had fun yesterday, and I'm looking forward to trying to set a world record in jumping a mini bike this afternoon. And I'm going to have my friend Arturo document it.
And you're so confident you won't even wear a helmet, correct?
It hasn't even entered my mind to wear a helmet. I imagine I'm going to be wearing a makeshift turban, and sunglasses. But I am going to put on my boots because I practiced a half hour, to get my mini bike skills back up. I got my first mini bike when I was in 5th grade and going to Hume School, the three-room school right there in the country. My
So did you weigh less back then, or about the
I
same?
probably weighed 50 pounds in 5th grade.
I was
See,
a little easier on the suspension, if it even had any suspension.
I
I don't
was
know.
so angry when I was like, what do you mean it's a governor? Why won't it go faster? Because it seemed like it took me forever to, I
One
mean,
out.
sections were a mile long. But anyway, I'm going to set a record on electric mini bike jumping on the Greenworks 60 volt. Because what I've seen, the other guy barely got off the ground. I'm giving him like 6 inches. And I'm thinking that the world record this afternoon could be anywhere from 7 to 10, 12 feet in the air. Be launching myself down a hill off of the banks of the Rio Grande onto what is a BMX race bike course. I'm going to hit it sideways and come off of it, and I'm going to count from the top of the berm to where I hit, so that whole angle will count as in the air. So that's where I'm hoping to, make it an almost unbreakable record, but should be fun.
Yeah.
Night
event for the day, yeah.
Wow, look at that. Look at that. That's a dry mouth tongue.
Oh, I thought that was some sort of from a Rolling Stones album cover.
Sticky fingers.
Yeah.
Despite the extreme toxicity of tropanes, they are useful drugs when administered in extremely small dosages. Did you know belladonna means pretty woman? Walking down the street, they can reverse choleric poisoning, which can be caused by overexposure in organ phosphate, insecticide, chemical warfare agents such as sarin, VA, polamine. It is used as an antiemetic against motion sickness. So belladonna and some of these other things, it's like, oh my goodness, it's a poison. You should never ever use it. Seems like people around the world that were using it as medicine up until the 1958. Whatever was going on in the 1958, nicotine's function in a plant is to act as a defense against the animals that would eat it, because the animal's going to eat some plants, man. They're going to. Don't tell an elephant you can't eat that plant. Unless you got a gun, you're going to lose that argument. Nightshade, belladonna. My guess is that's solanaceae, solanaceae, or nightshades. Let's just call them nightshades, RJ. Family of flower. Yeah, what? Okay, so it looks like this. What is this NEISE doing it? And then followed by a I. Sure is pretty though. Oh, I just picked up an echo. Go figure. I know you don't hear it, right?
No, I don't detect any echo.
If they don't hear it in the audience, I'm going to just let it go. And now it's gone. I see the hot peppers in there. So these are all. Did you know tobacco is a vegetable that is in this group? With the tomatoes, the eggplants, the bell peppers, the chili, all the healthy things. Tobacco is a vegetable that is in that group. It's not a weed.
So where's the seed or the fruit of the tobacco plant? Or
it got little berries like this. Just okay. Now is a good time to meet this doctor that I just was watching a video. Check this guy out. He looks. He's like your. He's
Aloha
like,
and good morning.
This is what RJ looked like 10 years ago before he decided to start shaving his head.
To Robert Cassar, Academy.com, EarthShiftProducts.com. Now, tip of the day. Well, question of the day. People say, is tobacco good for you? Okay, what is this right here? This is tobacco. And tobacco can be used.
This is that free use. And remember, RJ, I was just showing you before the, our short pre-show. We had a video taken down and I had to re-edit it, and it's re-editing as we speak. We don't even remember when we did this video. But look, we're the two witnesses from the Bible. You've got to let us say whatever we want. That's what we believe. And when we use this, we're trying to prove our point for, I guess it's listed under religious entertainment purposes as my YouTube. A
variety of different types of tinctures, different types of health, pharmaceutical qualities. Okay, and look how easy it grows. It grows like a weed. I didn't even grow these. The seeds will go ahead and just regrow themselves over and over again. Remember, tobacco, you probably, if even if you smoke, you've never even had real tobacco before. No, you haven't. It's because it's loaded and laden full of pesticides, insecticides, and herbicides. And if you look up, just Google toxic chemicals in tobacco, you're going to laugh. And each one of these,
There's
little
the
pods
seeds
right
I
here,
wanted
you
to
can see
show
this is
you.
the tobacco.
So,
Right.
yeah, that's a seed pod.
And they're actually, yeah, drying out on the
Water
plant
by itself.
during its maturity.
Yeah, look, it just grew by itself right here. It grew by itself right here. So this stuff's sort of like a weed. And tobacco, again, is really good to be able to use for ceremonial. It is good for the brain. Yes, it is. Okay, it's the what you could call the.
We don't even know if he's a real doctor, Bob Tasser. For all we know, this guy owns a gas station or two in Hawaii there and just stumbled into the backyard of somebody growing tobacco. But I suspicious. But I think
the
he's a real
father in
doctor.
theogen, okay, that is clears the brain like the peace pipe. And you can see that these flowers right here, these are all medicine of the tobacco plant.
That's a nightshade plant.
And people do use the flowers
Vegetable.
for medicine. You can smoke them. But if you just take one of these little pods right here, okay, I'm going to show you. This thing's got 500 seeds.
Earther Academy.
Seeds. Look at all those little tiny seeds right there.
What, they're like mustard seeds? Is that what he's showing?
There, just whoop. So I keep all my seeds. Why? It's because they'll go ahead and keep regrowing. And of course, a female in theogen, Santa Maria, which is cannabis.
I don't run around showing off my body like that. You know, I could make video.
Like
I could have been a health person and run around like half naked all the time, you know. But anyway,
I see. Fred, yeah, he kind of meant, you know, where you commented tobacco being, you know, like a currency, and and he mentions, there was time in different places, you know, rum also being the commodity of bartering.
He wraps it up really good. He seems like a pretty cool guy.
And they're oily, and they have a smell, sort of like, well, they're called terpenes. So anyways, guys, grow your own tobacco if you are smoking your own, and you can find out. It's really easy to grow. Yes, it is. All you have to do is not take care of it. And it just keeps growing and growing and growing. Okay, guys.
That was my favorite part of that thing is like, it's so easy to do. All you have to do is not take care of it.
Well, the whole narrative was it was so labor intensive, wasn't it? Or, you know, where you'd steam the ground so there wasn't any weeds.
Oh, yeah. You know, oh, my goodness. It's so labor you got to wait for like 2 years before you can smoke it if you're going to really appreciate it. You know what I mean?
No, with the tobacco bar. I mean, that there was really popular just south of where I, you know, live, north of Madison, where, that there was a time, but I believe most of that tobacco was grown for like my usage, not smoking it.
Ingesting. That's because you chew it all the time. You're a nicotine.
Well, I eat it. You know.
I know you do. It's like, and that will make you. It is like one of the strongest drugs in the whole world. I don't know how you do it, but wild tobacco grows all through the forests of Australia. I was told that it doesn't clash with native plants, and so they let it grow wild throughout the national parks, helping reforestation. I think it would probably behoove me to get back to the history program. It's like, because, you know, last night I'm all about, look, these prophecies are coming true, and the storms, and and so I woke up to this.
How do you domesticate a wild plant? if there is, a wild plant,
just crossbreeding.
His image put on the back of Look and Life.
Others see it.
Share? Are you sharing?
Yep.
It's the most contradictory of crops.
Nope. I guess not.
Now, tobacco on Modern Marvels.
This is the first thing I watched this morning.
They feed us, clothe us, give us medicines, intoxicate us, stimulate us, provide us with fuel. The list goes on and on. Our relationship to what we grow is usually fairly simple. If we need a crop, we cultivate it and consume it. End of story. But tobacco isn't that simple, because in some ways it's consuming us.
Huh?
Tobacco's many facets, from the mundane.
So they run through there and they pick 3 leaves off every week for a couple of months, and then they dry it for a year. Oh my goodness, it takes so long to get it ready. Where's this thing about? Here we go. This is the history of the nightshade. Check out this guy's hairdo. I'm not saying it's aliens, but this guy's his cousin.
They smoked it. They smeared it all over their bodies. They smeared it on other people's bodies. They drank it in a paste, and they even used it as an enema.
Thanks for that.
Shamans, spiritual leaders and healers, used it to diagnose illness.
I am not a shaman, a spiritual leader. I'm a Christian that is like, boy, the Bible's true. These guys, who knows what they're thinking?
They would consume enough really to take them to the edge of death, and that would take them into the spirit world where they could thereby examine the problems within their patients.
How do you know?
But it wasn't until Columbus reached Cuba on October 28, 1492, that Europeans discovered.
So the Europeans didn't know anything about smoking. They didn't discover gold. They
Not the gold they sought, but tobacco.
When Columbus sent some of his lieutenants to investigate inland and try and find a little more about the people who inhabited it and what their habits were.
Fill in your own joke and punchline here of him going, where's the tobacco, mate? Or something, or look at these yahoos.
Was currency. It paid for the preachers. It paid taxes. It bought wives.
Tobacco was the dollar or the euro of the English settlements in the United States.
And tobacco also paid for slaves.
Huh. I don't get that connection. How did it go from, I like tobacco, this could be healthy, never seen it before, now I own you? What am I missing? I mean,
Dots that connect.
some people that don't have eyes to see would be going like, what's your point? They don't even understand what I'm. Well, they said, hey, this is yummy and good. You should smoke. And they said, now we own you. Somewhat later. The first guy that grew the tobacco and took it back to England married Pocahontas. He loved her. She loved him.
The slaves brought into Jamestown in 1619 were brought to help in the cultivation and harvesting and marketing of tobacco.
In the 18th century, colonial tobacco
That's the
farmers,
1700s.
George Washington and Thomas Jefferson.
Hey, look. There's the father of our country. He's got some coffee. He's got a little seagull. That's not tobacco.
Struggled as inequities in the tobacco trade left them permanently indebted to British merchants.
How does that happen? There's another dot that just is thrown out there in my face, RJ, that I don't understand. Let's hear that again. Because if anybody wants to tell me about how that hidden hand of the economics and the drive for the money, and you're going to have the currency of capitalism of What happened here?
Slaves brought into Jamestown in 1619 were brought to help in the cultivation and harvesting and marketing of
that. I get it. They're brought. You're going to help cultivate it.
tobacco.
In the 18th century, colonial tobacco farmers, among them George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, struggled as inequities in the tobacco trade left them permanently indebted to British.
George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, due to inequities in the tobacco market from 1619 until the mid 1700s, it just ended up with slaves.
Merchants. In tobacco-producing areas, the American Revolution became known as the Tobacco War.
Huh?
And in 1776, Benjamin Franklin used 5 million pounds of Virginia tobacco to collateralize.
Forget the tea.
She's smudging his head with tobacco. That's what we do before, we do the peyote services. Not anymore. I did 2 times. It's not like I'm an expert in peyote, but I've been smudged for sweat lodges and things like that. Numerous bunch, probably 20
Well, there
times.
was some smoking going on.
Yeah.
Not a
Connecticut.
smoking gun, but a smoking pipe, anyhow.
Right. We would smoke the pipe, and we would, mix tobacco with what Dr. Stone, or the world knows him as Gentle Eagle, the head of the Oklahoma Native American Church. He would make it in himself, and you'd smoke it. It's a whole ceremony. It takes a long time. You honkies.
Rise a loan from France to help finance the American Revolution.
Oh.
But whether the world was at war or at peace, as long as there were
They just like tobacco, man.
And everyone obviously was in agreement, It was.
And so they changed up and started making the money off of it, and realized if they put ammonia in it,
bulking bin the size of a bus. It's all cut to 1/28 of an inch slices called rag and pneumatically moved to the cigarette fabrication side of the plant. There, the rag will be rolled in paper, glued, joined with filters made from cellulose acetate, and packaged. This process occurs at a rate of roughly 20,000 cigarettes per minute, sometimes 24 hours a day.
says from
Long before
2002,
OPAC
I
and
believe.
recon, cigarettes had humble origins. Their beginnings can be traced to Spain in the early 19th century.
Now we're
Seville
getting somewhere.
Tobacco Factory.
Look at these guys.
Start them young.
You got to shake it. You got to let it breathe, man. This is such a production. Sold loose, roll it up, advertise it. These are your first ones, and it went big time. Quite a production. His name really was Buck Duke because of Buchanan Duke. They called him Buck. And so these 2 guys decided, well, let's change the world, man. And I don't know, everything was good. This was like 4 out of 5 doctors recommended tobacco for your health. And everybody loved it. And then they started putting ammonia in it and it started killing people. And they were going like, hey, cigarettes are bad. Only stupid people smoke. And we should just tax the shit out of it. Excuse my language. I'm not saying it's aliens.
Well, yeah, first you want to lace the product with something that's, totally unhealthy.
Like a sexy
One
woman.
direction cigarette advertising went, of course, was the Hollywood market. Ronald Reagan, as an example, had his image put on the back of Look and Life.
In 1950, around half of the adult
We should, at this time, refresh their memory about Edward Bernays and how he popularized the cigarette through the miracle of advertising. Check these guys out.
Rodrigo de Jerez and Luis de Torres were the first Europeans to smoke cigars with Arawak natives in Cuba. They puffed on a giant cigar.
It's described by Rodrigo de Torres as thick as his wrist.
Over the next 3 centuries, his tobacco smoke...
They call that a blunt in today's lingo. Spread across the globe, Randy. Why do they got to do that to you?
spread across the globe. Cuba became known as a high-quality tobacco producer. But the entire business changed when the U.S. imposed a trade embargo on Cuba in October 1960.
That's that reset world, man. We're right back in the reset world.
And as that's supposed to be, as far as a comparison that, you know, I mean, there must be what, almost equivalent in a cigar, the same amount of tobacco that's in like a pack of normal cigarettes.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
You know, I can do a whole pack in one, you know, or I mean, is it supposed to portray that kind of excessiveness of, you know, how good you have it, that, you know.
Let's just take one example of a guy that they mentioned that moved from Cuba and said, you know, his dads are like, okay, we can't do this anymore. So check this guy out. This is how hard it is.
And then the cigars that are hand rolled, not a machine rolled, or
the moment you plant the seed to the moment that cigar is enjoyed. And each leaf has passed from a minimum between 400 pairs of hands up to 500 pairs of hands.
That hands-on approach is evident in the Fuente Opus X rolling room of Tabacalera A. Fuente y Compañía.
It's like I can read your mind, RJ.
One of the largest.
So all these guys, man, check this out. Because I think the guy that's the inspector, for sure, that would be the job I would have gone through. I know I would have been an inspector.
As the cigar maker is creating the bunch, the inside of the cigar with small little tubes and creating this round cylinder, and after he rolls the two binders that hold the
nobody can go OCD and on a single product and try to make it perfect like me.
Been pressed for an hour and a half. The roller, who is trained for years, spirals the wrapper leaf around the interior leaves. It's not as easy as
they're not done yet. You can't smoke this for 2 more years, RJ.
Aged for as much as a decade.
They're not going to let you even buy it for 2 more years.
Cigars are sealed with gum arabic.
Look at that dude, man. This is my job.
When he finishes checking 50 cigars, he would tie them and weigh them, and they have to be precisely within 1 ounce. What this proves is that the length and diameter is exact, and that every.
Well, I'm going to put my initials on it. It's going to be right.
The right amount of leaves.
The annual output of 750,000 Opus X cigars, or a small portion of the 35 million.
There's some people out there smoking those cigars today, I'll bet.
Look at the box they're putting it in. You know,
yeah, it's got to be mahogany.
Aging in Spanish cedar cabinet.
Yeah.
Cedar cabinet.
365 days, 24/7, with temperature, humidity constant. What happens? You have a marriage of different tobaccos.
These guys are so into it.
A year later, the cigars are finished with a band, a piece of Spanish cedar, and cellophane.
The Fuente Opus X has a certain spice, cinnamon, maybe even leathery. It's got a certain taste that's very unique.
Though they may consume a unique.
As I'd like that. Here's one I can pronounce. Atropos. Ancient Greek. This is the girl. This is the one. She did it. See those scissors in her hand? She's cutting the string, man. Whew. Why?
That's not the umbilical cord, is it?
No. Atropos was the eldest of the 3 fates and was known as the inflexible one. And it was Atropos who chose the manner of death and extended the life of mortals by cutting their threads. She worked along with her 2 sisters, cloth, who spun the thread, and Lachesis, who measured the length. Atropos has been featured in several stories, such as those of Atalanta and Achilles, her origin, along with the two other fates, unknown. Although some call them the daughters of the night. It is clear, however, that a certain period they ceased to be only concerned with death and also became those powers who decided what may happen to individuals. Although Zeus was the chief Greek god and their father, he was still subject to the decisions of the fates. No explanation of why, but that's their story and they're sticking to it. It's another Nightshade, Belladonna. Very dramatic. Nicotine in and of itself is one of those, things that you just don't want to take a whole bunch at one time. But it will act as a receptor antagonist, except at 2 nicotine receptor subunits. Highly addictive, it says. Addiction involves drug-reinforced behavior, compulsive use, and relapse following abstinence. I think that, later we'll have to get into.
Sounds like a cycle.
The tobacco company's argument is, well, it picks up traces of those from the pesticides we use, but it's real tobacco. But the other doctor from Hawaii would think that no, they're messing with it. They've messed it up somehow.
It's deliberate, yeah.
But it is there's something to it that relaxes people, and they think it helps them. You probably despise the red man, right?
Well, that's like what gets you hooked onto like what I'm. I think there's molasses, and stuff mixed in with that tobacco leaf.
So there was this guy from Peru, I think, or somehow he had studied in Peru, and I met up with him on my first vision quest, and he had some nicotine that was grown by the Navajo that he blew into my nostrils. And the last thing I remembered saying to him was, I'm going to lay down my head on Jacob's pillow for a little while, okay? And when I was next remembered talking to him, he goes, how long do you think that you've been out? 20 minutes? He goes, no, it's been 2 hours. Wow. Could not believe it. From nicotine.
Safe, deep sleep, huh?
Couldn't believe it. Right. And that's when, I realized that as much as, marijuana has been a part of my life since the mid 70s, tobacco will be the last sacred drug that I stop using. If I had a choice of saying like, wow, we've got to grow this to save this tobacco plant or this marijuana plant, I'm saving the tobacco. I don't know why yet, but in my mind, it is what
we're organically growing. Yeah,
we'll need it somehow for its untapped medicinal purposes that our rest of our lives may depend on. Now, I'm going to spend just a little bit of time here going over some stuff that I probably will go over this again tonight, but I know I have.
And I have to hit the exit door here.
Right. So we've gone through Apatos, the goddess that cut the string. We'll go back. We just touched on that. We touched on nicotine is a recreational drug, and you know, the different it's still going to be a part of our lives. The history of tobacco, the arrival from Spain, that'll take, you know, we don't have time for that. I've got to go set a world record. RJ's got to go take care of his uncle and the farm. So it does come, I do, you know, I'm not going to be picking on Democrats or Joe Biden, but I am going to, this is part of the deal because this involves tobacco and a lot of other crap that is just, I don't want to get into the politics, RJ, but I have to kind of. Got to go back to JFK and his little horn dog antics, and Mimi Atford, I think she was 18, 19 years old when he was raping her because she was a member of the White House intern. I don't know what that has to do with the tobacco, but these are the tabs, you know, since we, oh, you didn't do help.
I think it was Clinton that brought up the tobacco thing.
Yeah, he stuck a cigar in Monica Lewinsky's vagina and then smoked it. But this is a list of the mistresses of JFK, known mistresses. Tobacco. Yeah, so the name of that video that got spot Mudflood in every movie, who knows how long ago. It just got blocked globally this morning, so I'm trimming it. RJ.
So it was due to more of a YouTube complaint, or someone complained to YouTube, or how that process works, or
I have no idea.
Sure. Okay.
I basically like I really don't have any.
Yeah, it's a whatever.
I just, only thing I really know is that yesterday was the first time I've had fun in a long time, and it was because I was back on a small version of a dirt bike, and now I've got this idea of I'm going to set a world record today. Why not?
Well, don't hurt yourself. Yeah.
Don't tell me what to do.
But,
I've already hurt myself. I dumped it yesterday. It dumped it one time in the practice round, but it's okay. I'm okay. The bike's okay.
Don't wreck it either, or yourself. But
well, if I get the jump, I don't care if I wreck it, as long as it's on film.
Okay.
No, it's not going to wreck it at all. This thing is so low to the ground with the center of bad, it practically it lands itself. And I'm only going off a little
pilot. All right.
Yeah, it's like an 8-foot berm. It's nothing. It's going to be fun. All right, this is a flat Earth nation. The golden age is past because the mud flood was Armageddon. We've lost the culture war. But in the long run, we're going to be changed, metamorphosed from whatever this dust-based thing is into a spiritual entity. Hallelujah. It's going to be wonderful. They will never see it, no matter what you tell them, but you keep trying, because to some people, it's the breath of life, and they will be changed. And that narrow road is going to be like the sand of the sea, and the Lord will have everyone worshiping that he'll be happy. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Aloha. Arrivederci. Ciao. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen.